got
Hey everybody.
we got the usual crew here today. We're live at the warehouse here in Conway, South Carolina. And David, I'm just gonna hook up here and make sure we're watching while we're doing it.
Good enough.
But
Great to have you guys.
Seth, a lot of stuff going on. Obviously, the end of the regular legislative session was last week.
Not quite out of the woods yet, but the formal part of the session has ended. Now they're in overtime, as they like to call it.
Right. So, anyway, so last week was, Thursday was the last day of session,
Right.
The regular session. And David, I think it was, we talked a little bit last week about what was going on and what was, getting jammed through in the last week. And the bottom line is, as we said at the beginning of this legislative session, there's going to be their priorities,
Right.
and then there's going to be our priorities.
Right.
And the politicians' priorities don't match our priorities. And Seth,
You saw it all year this year.
we saw it all year. So let's kind of do a little inventory here.
A quick recap of what was passed, what was not passed.
Right. So what was not passed and what really got ignored, I think the biggest fight during the legislative session was our right to restore our Second Amendment rights, David. And in the House, basically we were denied the restoration of those rights.
Couldn't even get a hearing on it.
Progressive Peter McCoy, who is the chairman of the House Judiciary Committee, wouldn't even hold a committee hearing on H3456, which was the strongest constitutional carry bill in the General Assembly this year.
And it wasn't even a radical idea. I mean, it simply, as you said, restored our gun rights. It allowed you to open carry. It allowed you to carry concealed without a permit, without having to ask
Right.
the government for permission to defend yourself. And then it granted reciprocity to other state CWP holders.
Right.
So essentially, just make us one of the freest states when it comes to our gun rights. Nothing radical, nothing that's not already enshrined in the Constitution. And yet, Progressive Peter McCoy, a Republican, Progressive Peter McCoy, wouldn't even give the bill a hearing in subcommittee.
We're talking about just following the Constitution here.
Simply.
I mean,
It's simple.
it's as simple as following
Yeah.
the Constitution. So, our constitutional rights, Second Amendment rights, were not restored this year. However, it's worth to point out, and we missed this when it first happened, but it's worth it to point out, y'all, the exact same subcommittee that constitutional carry bill, the bill to restore our gun rights in the state, the exact same committee passed a bill onto the Judiciary Committee to give in-state tuition, in-state college tuition to illegal immigrants.
Right.
So here you have their priorities,
Right.
our priorities. Our priorities to restore our gun rights, to restore the right to defend ourselves, to follow the United States Constitution. Their priorities, give in-state tuition to illegal immigrants. I mean, we're not kidding here. This isn't a joke, David.
Day and night.
These are Republicans doing this to us. This is the Republican majority, supermajority in that legislature, and we're asking for them to restore our Second Amendment rights. And what do they do instead in the exact same committee? They give illegal immigrants in-state college tuition. It just doesn't make sense.
Well, it's not just that their priorities don't match ours. It's what they do does not match up to what they say they're going to do on the campaign trail.
Right.
I don't know if any Republican in South Carolina, save maybe Neil Collins and Pickens, ran around during his campaign and said, you know what I want to do? I want to give in-state tuition to illegal immigrants.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, a lot of them ran around and said, I want to protect your gun rights. I believe in the Second Amendment.
Right.
And yet they go down there, and as you say, Republicans, the same subcommittee that said that your gun rights are not even worth a hearing, not even worth considering, not even worth voting on, passed at a subcommittee in-state tuition for illegal immigrants. I mean, it's sickening.
And
How many southern conservative states have passed constitutional carry? Is there more than 5 or 6?
It's I think they're up to 16 statewide
So
now.
we got 16 states
Right.
that have basically given back their residents their rights.
Correct.
I'd be willing to bet you that few of those states have passed in-state tuition for illegal immigrants. That's just showing you how backwards our legislators are. They're how elitist they are.
Yeah.
Well, I know that at least on the open carry, now correct me if I'm wrong here, but at least on the open carry aspect of it, we are one of only 5 states that does not allow open carry.
That's correct. I believe that's right too. Yes.
And the other 4 would be New York, California, Florida, and Illinois.
Yep.
So you have 4 predominantly liberal states, right? And we're right there in bed with them as far as not allowing our citizens the right to open carry, which once again is enshrined in the Constitution.
Yeah. No. So again, going over it, the same committee that voted to pass in-state college tuition for illegal immigrants also didn't even hold a hearing for constitutional carry to restore our gun rights. Again,
does that reflect your values at home?
Yeah.
Does that reflect your values
Their
at home?
priorities versus our priorities. David, again, their priorities and versus our priorities to respect the right to life, to value the right to life, to protect the right to life.
From conception.
Right. And they didn't pass any bill. I think they got it to. Did they get it out of the House? I think
they finally passed it out of the House
a
after it was
6-week
amended.
bill, right?
Once it was amended after Nancy Mace gave her testimony, I guess you say.
But personhood, which is the bill that would define life beginning at conception and protect it, didn't. I don't even think it got a hearing.
Not that I'm aware of.
I'm not even sure when they tried to amend it on the floor of the House to that 6-week abortion bill that it even got a vote. So again, now Alabama, the state of Alabama, made headlines this morning. They actually have passed a bill similar to personhood, it sounds like.
And their governor signed it.
Yep.
So here we go.
Right.
There's a group of people who are representing their constituents.
Well, it's people that are willing to represent their constituents, and you know that that'll be challenged in court. So it's not just they'll pass it in the state house; they're willing to go fight for it in the courthouse.
Right.
Whereas our guys use that as an excuse year after year, which why even mess with this bill when this is going to get struck down by the courts?
But
Let
hold
them
on.
strike it down.
I was watching CNN this morning, not the most liberal news.
Oh, you're outing yourself here.
Yeah. So, but I did. I want to hear what they had to say about it. The Democrats say they doubt the Supreme Court will take it up because they don't want to deal with the issue themselves.
But who knows?
So they may just let it stand.
But at least they're aggressive in putting the ball in their court.
More likely they won't take it up, the Supreme Court, than they will.
Right.
So why not pass the doggone thing?
Agreed.
Well, it's because, in all honesty, there's one of two things at play here. Either they don't believe that life begins at conception, even though most of those politicians in the State House campaign on that, or they're just afraid of what could happen if it does stand, like you suggested, right? That, oh my gosh, the Supreme Court might not take this up. This law may actually stand.
Right.
And let me just say what the horrible thing that would happen if it stood. Babies would stop getting aborted.
My gosh.
How terrible.
The right to life would be respected
There
and
you
protected.
It'd be anarchy out here, I tell you.
Just crazy idea, just a radical idea. But again,
I think you're right. I think one of the big reasons they don't do it, A, is because they don't really believe in it. They may not like abortion, and you see it and you hear about it, but as far as actually trying to define when life begins, they don't want to be part of that.
Yeah.
And second, I think they're terrified of the backlash from some of the abortion proponents.
Yes.
And rather than
some of their voters, by the way.
Some of their voters, because a lot of them get these pro-choice Democrats to come vote for them, but they are more terrified of people who are not even in their own party than the people who elect them and send them to Columbia to protect our rights.
Yes.
And I think that's a two sides of the same coin.
Yes. No, I agree. But again, our priorities versus their priorities. Our priorities is to protect and respect the right to life. Their priority is not simply. I mean, they don't care. They've dilly-dallied on this abortion bill for years. I mean, for years this has been kicked around. Again, y'all, we have a 2/3 Republican majority in the House, nearly a supermajority in the state Senate, and there's a Republican sitting in the governor's mansion. And you're telling me that in the state of South Carolina, we can't protect babies and we can't protect life. It just doesn't make sense. It's our priority. It's not theirs. Seth, let's talk about, again, what they also didn't do this year. They had $1 billion. They spent $1 billion more in the state budget than they did last year. Of course, we've documented a lot of the pet projects, and we'll get, of course, to the toll road on I-95 in just a minute. But again, our priorities to be fiscally conservative. Our priorities to spend less. As Republicans, we hear it all the time on the campaign trail, David. These candidates, they run as, we're going to spend less.
We're going to shrink government.
We're going to shrink government. We're going to make government smaller. But here they are, growing the size of government. One thing we didn't hear, Seth, is we didn't hear about tax cuts this year. Any major tax cuts. They didn't cut the income tax rate, which is, by the way, the highest in the Southeast. They didn't cut the sales tax. They didn't cut. We're not hearing any sort of anything like that coming out of Columbia. But they are giving us $50 checks coming in the mail, David. Now, again, I will take my $50 because I can spend it better than they can, better than the politicians can. But nonetheless, no major tax cuts whatsoever.
Well, it's
in
not
that
just this
legislature.
year. There's been multiple years in the last 5 or 6 that they've had a surplus of funds.
Yes.
And rather than return that to the taxpayer, which you would think as conservatives would want to do, they go bend over backwards and find new ways to spend our money.
Well, and let's be clear, what a surplus is, surplus is kind of a media buzzword.
Right.
A surplus just means that
They took more of our money.
they took more of our money than they originally asked for. And usually when somebody takes more of your money than they originally asked for, they have the courtesy to give it back to
Right.
you. Not the state house politicians in Columbia. They don't. They've taken it.
Yep.
They've spent it. And they're giving us a paltry $50 back.
And it's our money. When you get your $50 check, it's your money.
That's right.
Remember that. They're not giving you anything. They're going to all salute one another for giving you back your money.
Right.
They're giving you back your money.
Right.
Which you basically loan them interest-free for however long, right? So
Right.
it's your money the whole time.
Right.
They just decided, I guess out of the kindness of their hearts to return some pennies on the dollar what we've invested.
Right,
But-
exactly. So, so no, no protections for the right to life, no restoration of our constitutional God-given gun rights, no major tax cuts to speak of. But Seth, what they did do,
So on all of the issues we've talked so far, the entire group gets an F.
Yes.
Would y'all agree with me that?
Yes.
The entire group, on everything we discussed so far, gets an F. Just keeping score here.
yeah, keeping score of the report card.
Yeah.
Okay. However, what they did do is scary.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, and also, they did not fix our roads, which I know
Yes.
we're going to admit, but once
No.
again, for the last, I don't know how long, South Carolina's been begging to get their roads fixed. We're sending more and more money down to Columbia, and they still have not fixed our roads.
Well,
Gotta mention
we
that.
have sent them now, just from the new gas tax, David, we have sent them an additional $600 million. Right. Just from the new gas tax that they passed 2 years ago.
And
right?
it goes up another 2 cents in
July
about a
1.
month and a half.
That's correct.
Yep.
So, just from the new gas tax, they've gotten over $500 million more dollars than they would have had if they had not passed the gas tax hike. They've spent only about $150 million of it.
Right.
David, are our roads fixed? You drive around these roads in Horry County. Are these roads fixed?
Well, I was hanging out with you guys last week, and I can tell you Highway 51 is a humdinger.
Yes.
But other than
In
that,
Florence County, in corrupt Hugh Leatherman's backyard, my gosh, the roads look great.
Well, you can eat off of them. Clean as a whistle, smooth as can be.
but as far as
A lot
Highway
of construction going on over there.
But as far as Highway 544, right across the road over here, going out of Conway, it's a disaster. It's like driving on an old dirt road. It's really that bad.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And other roads, 90, 905. I can go on, guys. No, they are not fixing our roads.
Yeah.
What we could do is we could ask Hugh Leatherman to move to Horry County. Maybe we get some more roads there. But other than that, we're stuck.
No, so again, they didn't protect the right to life. They did not restore our Second Amendment rights.
Right.
They did not cut our taxes. They spent more money, a lot more money than they did last year. Our roads aren't fixed. But what they did do, Seth,
Yeah.
is probably the worst part. And David, we've been talking about this for the last couple of weeks. Thousands of folks across the state have weighed in on this tax giveaway to the liberal New Jersey billionaire owner of the NFL Carolina Panthers. The Senate signed off. The governor is, it's just a formality at this point for him just to sign that legislation into law. $120 million worth of tax cuts or
Gimmies.
yeah, basically tax breaks for a guy that's worth $11 billion. He gets tax breaks. We don't, of
Right.
course. But then on top of that, and I thought one of the most egregious, most disgusting parts of this, as we're talking about our roads not getting fixed, our roads not getting repaired, we're paying more at the pump. they decide that they want to build him a $40 million brand new road that will drive right up to his practice field. Again, our road's falling apart, but the priority for these politicians in the State House is, let's go ahead and build this liberal billionaire from New Jersey who owns the Carolina Panthers, the NFL Carolina Panthers. Let's just go ahead and build him a brand new road to his practice field. David, there's no bigger slap in the face at this point to any of these South Carolinians, and I think that's why it was so wildly unpopular. I just don't know what these politicians were thinking.
Well, I mean, look at it. You have South Carolinians who, after seeing their government tax them, they get a $50 check in the mail, right? This guy, who is not a South Carolinian, is not even going to move the team down here, just the practice field, right? Instead of getting a $50 check, he gets a $40 million road and tens of millions of dollars in tax breaks.
Yeah.
Now, why do people...
$100 million in tax breaks.
Right. So, but why are the people of South Carolina not worth that? Right. And I see people on our Facebook page, you have trolls all the time saying, well, if you were going to, build a brand new facility and all this, you would get tax breaks too. Well, guys, it should not be up to the politicians to determine what type of economic activity deserves a tax break. Right. Yeah. In South Carolina, they need to stop their spending and stop taxing us so much, but they'll never be able to do that. This ties it all back in. They'll never be able to cut our taxes when they're doling out this kind of incentives to mega corporations and billionaires.
Did you see the entitlement attitude that guy has?
Yes.
If they don't give me the money, I won't come. Yeah. I was like, great,
we want you to stay.
Look, that is the entitlement attitude and the elitist attitude of all of these recipients of our tax dollars, is that they just think because these politicians kiss their butt all the time and beg them and roll. I mean, Henry Master, I mean, my God.
It's embarrassing.
It really is. It's embarrassing. Gas tax Gary Simmel, embarrassing. They should be embarrassed. I mean, that guy's haircut's embarrassing too, but they should be embarrassed.
You know he has no shame when he walks out of the house with that.
The behavior of these politicians is embarrassing. It's shameful. And I think at the end of the day, Seth and Dave, to your point, the elitism of these guys, the arrogance, entitled elitism
of
the politicians and the recipients of our tax dollars and the recipients of these tax breaks. It's a separate class. It's a separate society, and that's the way these politicians like it. And as you suggested, Seth, anybody that wants tax cuts, anybody that wants to, cut our taxes or reduce the spending, it's not going to happen when we're doing these economic incentive deals where, this group gets a special deal, this group doesn't. That guy, that liberal billionaire from New Jersey, he gets a special deal, we don't. His roads get fixed, ours don't. The politicians have created themselves a different class of society in the state.
Well, there's
and
two
it's
classes.
Those who have a lobbyist and those who don't, and that's really the bottom line.
It's two classes. We have the class now, the taxpayers and the tax recipients, and more so, the recipients are the super wealthy, a super class of people that are getting a huge corporate welfare, corporate benefits, and here's why. Our legislators do not understand the fundamental role, their fundamental role of government. They believe is to be Santa Claus or to have more power because of more money.
Yeah.
Their job is to serve taxpayers, to serve residents. They fundamentally don't understand what they're up there to do.
Yeah.
They don't.
No, they don't represent us. They don't give a damn about us, really. I mean, in all honesty, that's what it comes down to. All they care about, for the most part, is growing their power base.
And that's by having more money. The more money we give them, the more powerful they become.
Agreed.
That's just real.
And let's be clear, the Horry County delegation voted in lockstep for this thing. Not a single one of them, I don't believe, voted against.
Absolutely.
How does this benefit Horry County? Right? How does giving away this money to a liberal billionaire that's going to build a practice facility in Rock Hill going to benefit a single
How does
soul?
it benefit anybody?
Well, agreed. I'm saying.
I don't think it benefits anybody.
But we're sitting here in Conway in Horry County, surrounded in this restaurant by a whole bunch of taxpayers. None of them are going to see a single benefit, and yet they're all going to be paying for this practice facility. For this
and let's also be clear, David, about this Panthers, this liberal billionaire tax giveaway. There are no jobs being created.
No.
Not a single one.
No.
And usually,
they'll at least lie to you about it.
They'll at least blow smoke up your ass about how they're going to create all these jobs with these normal tax breaks for these corporations. But in this case, they didn't even bother lying to us.
Right.
There are no jobs being created. No South Carolinians are going to be hired from this deal. Yet they want tax. This liberal billionaire wants tax breaks, and they want us to fork out money to build a road. While our roads are crumbling, they want us, the politicians, are going to steal our money to build this guy a new road.
And once he gets a beachhead here, guys, once he's here, watch out. The tax breaks, the gimmies, they will just multiply for this guy.
And let's be clear,
that's the least of our worries when it comes to this guy being here.
No, that's right. And we talked about this, Seth. I mean, this guy, his values, his value system is completely different than ours.
Right.
I mean, he is a liberal. He is, from Pennsylvania, New Jersey. He was supported Hillary Clinton in the 2016 campaign. Has said some very disparaging things about the President of the United States. Okay. Also supports his players kneeling for the national anthem. I mean, let's be clear, this guy does not share our values.
He said it was patriotic when a Carolina Panther kneeled for the national anthem. He said that was patriotic, and to criticize him would be unpatriotic. So you cannot have a guy whose values are more diametrically opposed to ours than this guy's. And so I'm sure you're right. As we go down further, there'll be more tax incentives in the deal, or in the future, there'll be more deals. But really what I'm concerned about is like what we saw with the All-Star game in Charlotte. Right, where North Carolina,
the NBA All-Star game.
The NBA All-Star game. So the North Carolina legislature, as representatives of their constituents, said that people that are transgendered have got to go to the bathroom of their biological birth, or the biological sex at birth. So if you're a man and thinks you're a woman, you still have to use the men's restroom. And the NBA, because they are progressive, because they are liberal, said, we were not going to have our All-Star game in Charlotte unless you change this law. And lo and behold, the law got changed because of the economic incentives that Charlotte would reap by having the game there. It's the same thing here. Once this headquarters gets built, or they're halfway through it, and maybe we want to pass an abortion bill, or a strong gun rights bill. And this liberal billionaire says, guys, if you're going to have people roaming the
streets, we're not going to practice there.
Exactly.
You bought me the $120 million stadium and bought me the $40 million road, but if you don't believe like I believe, we're not going to practice there.
And these guys will bend over backwards when he makes that threat to accommodate them.
That is what scared me from day one on this whole thing, is that this guy's going to come in here and bring in his New Jersey liberal values to South Carolina, and he's going to do it with his $11 billion. I mean, the guy's got $11 billion. Like, what politician is going to say no to this? And Seth, your point exactly about the NBA All-Star game in Charlotte is that when politicians, elitist politicians, and liberal millionaires and billionaires get together, bad things happen. They start to change our culture, and that's what my fear is with this whole thing. Is this guy's going to come down here and start throwing a lot of money around and start buying off a lot of politicians, and before you know it, y'all, our gun rights are going to be taken away. We're not going to protect the right to life. Our taxes are going to go up. Our roads are going to get even more clogged. And so that is the fear, is that when we start throwing our money, these politicians start throwing our money at these liberal out-of-state corporations and billionaires, our culture changes.
Exactly.
And that's not good. We can't tolerate it.
Well, it's not acceptable. It's not acceptable.
All right, last final thing.
Hold on, before we move on. The other horrible thing they did was this data warehouse. Is that where you were going?
I was going there, and I was going to go with the toll roads. So, real fast, the toll roads, just to give everybody an update, the toll road plan. So, at the last minute, they decided to put a proposal to put toll booths, New Jersey Turnpike-style toll booths, on Interstate 95, right? So everybody traveling up and down I-95, they're going to put toll booths up there.
And not just on the borders. Come on, inside of South Carolina.
Yeah, no, we were there a few weeks ago, as you remember, at Lake Marion. That's where they want to put one of the toll booths. That's where it's statutorily, it's written in the budget. So they sneaked this into the budget, and it's still there. And in fact, this weekend, Corrupt Hugh Leatherman came out and said, "No, I am for this. We're going to push for this."
Shocker.
He is on the conference committee in the State House that is, determining this budget. So y'all, you have a chance to weigh in.
Right.
Your legislators are going to have to vote for this budget again. The governor is going to have an opportunity to veto this. So if you want to stop this toll road nonsense, if you want to stop I-95 from turning into the New Jersey Turnpike, text the word KILL, K-I-L-L, to the number 52886 on your cell phone. KILL to 52886 on your cell phone. That will enable you to send a very quick message to your state legislators and to the governor telling them to kill the toll proposal in the state budget. Get it out of that state budget. We don't want New Jersey Turnpike style toll booths on I-95. Use the money we've already given you to fix the roads. Get this toll booth plan out of the state budget.
And it's important that you're sending those messages to your House rep, your state senator, and the governor, because as you mentioned, the budget is in conference.
Yep.
Once these 6 guys figure out what the budget's going to be, it goes back to the House,
right,
and then back to the Senate, and finally to McMaster. So
right,
we've got to hit all 3 of them and let them know, if this toll road plan is in there, and you're in the House, you vote no. Right. If you're in the Senate, you vote no, and if you're a government master, you veto that bad boy and send it back and make them override it.
That's right. That's exactly right.
So the word "kill" to 52886 does all 3 of those
Yes.
things?
Yes.
Guys, the word "kill" to 52886
Yep.
On your cell phone. Yep.
on your cell phone sends it to all 3 branches. That's where you want to go, man.
Okay, so let's quickly turn over to some local issues, because I know y'all have been busy here. There was an article, sort of a bombshell that dropped this morning by Paul Cable. What is the deal there, David? What's happening with the county council? It's all based around the new county administrator getting hired. What is going on?
So the deal is this: we, the county residents, mostly west of the waterway, voted overwhelmingly to elect a new county council chairman. Excuse me, Johnny Gardner, who, for the most part, has represented the county residents. There's a group of people right along the coast who are more liberal and don't exactly like the idea of working for residents. So we fired Eldridge. He was our county administrator. We fired him because basically there was a whole lot of stuff going on. Once we fired him, though, the new process, is putting out requests for the job.
Basically opening the position to the public.
Yes. Well, apparently Harold Worley, according to Paul Gable, Harold Worley reached out to the current gentleman, Mr. Gosnell, assistant city administrator, and asked him if he'd like to hang around and be the boss. Well, I don't know what that conversation amounted to, but Worley quickly got up with a guy named Johnny Vault, another county councilman, and they went around behind Gardner's back and began talking with one another.
And if I can interrupt you, I mean, Gable's reporting up to this point, as far as I have followed him, has always been very good and very
well,
accurate.
without saying a whole lot, Gable has extremely good inside sources.
Yeah.
Extremely good. Now, I got a call from Tyler Servant this morning. He said, I had nothing to do with this. I will not vote for Gosnell. I'm not. I basically, this wasn't about me. That was the part about me is wrong. That's his statement. I spoke to Mr. Gable. Paul said I got an email with one of the councilmen's names on it, which happens to be Vaught. That basically says 10 of these guys are in this thing now. They're good. So the bottom line is this. Somebody's lying. Now,
as usual.
I believe Paul Gable's a credible journalist. He says he has this email. I believe he has it.
Yeah.
I don't know how he got it. That's none of my business. But I do believe that Paul Gable's reporting is spot on. And as far as Mr. Servant's concerned, there's a good chance he wasn't for Gosnell.
So essentially they're trying to go behind Gardner's back and make this hire
without him even being involved. Right. But here's the deal. Gosnell, 20 years ago, he worked for DDC Engineers, and he worked for Mike Wooten.
That name is very familiar.
Now, you know, people, well, that was 20 years ago. Well, that's 20 years to build an ongoing relationship. And everyone in this county knows that Wooten and the county has had a very tight relationship.
Yes, he lives off of government dollars.
Up until recently.
He's gotten rich off of government dollars.
So there's nothing to...
Well documented.
There's nothing to indicate that Gosnell's relationship with Wooten in those 20 years has done anything but grown. Right. So that kind of puts a dark cloud over Gosnell among county residents. And it should.
Absolutely. David, I have a question. I mean, with this, there was an uproar for several months. Activists who supported Johnny Gardner pushed hard to get rid of the county administrator, Eldridge. They eventually do it, and I think the basis of that anger and backlash on Eldridge was the fact that he was secretive, that he did things behind the back of the taxpayers and the elected officials, and he basically tried to run government from his unelected position.
Yeah, here's the situation. Eldridge was a coastal guy. He fought for the coast all the time. He was one of those guys fighting for chamber dollars all the time.
Right,
but he ran an inept county police department. A couple of his dead officers are now going to trial this week. Believe it or not, for doing things like flashing people when they pull up their car.
But hold on, let me make the broader point. The point here, I thought, was that folks. That's right. He participated in a memo to SLED or whatever, the law enforcement.
Outed it to the media.
Right, to try to basically do a coup on the incoming county council chairman.
He did.
Right?
Those are facts.
Okay. So that being said, that was the basis, that sort of secretive plot that he created. You would think that the county council lesson from that was, we probably should be more transparent these days.
You don't know these guys very well, do
and,
you?
and we should probably be more transparent about how we are going to hire the next county administrator, right? That perhaps maybe we want to hold open application periods and let anybody in the public apply for the job. And then once people apply, that maybe we should hold open hearings or open interviews for these folks,
but
so that everybody can see.
Or if you don't do all that, I mean, I don't know what the usual process is, but if you have a standard process that you go by, and the chairman of the county council has an input because he is the boss of the county council, you would think that after you just had an attempted coup that got squashed down, they wouldn't be trying an end around now on governor's authority, right? So, like, even if you don't have a whole parade and do open interviews or what have you, the guy who was elected to be county chairman by the citizens deserves to have some kind of input in who's going to be his right-hand man
I agree.
as far as executing the
Well,
government.
the phones are ringing this morning. Mine certainly has been. I promise you, it's going to be more transparent than it was going to be.
Good.
Number two, guys, and I'm talking to these
Well,
county
hold
council-
on. I gotta stop, because, and this is just me being picky, but I hate that. I hate that phrase. Well, it's going to be more transparent than it was. Well, it wasn't going to be transparent.
It wasn't going to be transparent at all.
I mean, and I'm not
I
picking
agree.
on you.
No,
but,
I get you.
But
here's
all I'm
the
saying
deal.
is, you just had an issue with transparency, with secrecy in this county. You would think that the politicians, and I know that's what the activists want, is to have the most transparent possible, most transparent process possible.
With the most credible guy getting hired,
to hire
not
the next
some
guy.
crony insider.
Right.
Here's the deal, guys, and I'm talking to county council here. Every time in this age of social media, you try to pull one of these stunts, you're getting nailed. Might as well stop it, because you're getting nailed every single time. And you're going to get nailed. If I have anything to do with it, you're going to get nailed.
Yeah.
Don't be sneaky. Do everything transparently.
I tend to agree. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out and see if there's a backlash.
Well, I mean,
From the
it's
citizens.
hurt guys now. It hasn't helped him. I mean, if you're guys now, let's just say you're guys now, and you're not in the tank for Wooten, and let's say you really wanted the job. They just blew you up,
Right,
man.
yeah.
They just blew you up.
Any chance you may have had is probably going down the drain.
I think with the residents it has,
Yeah.
I'd definitely say so.
Yeah. All right. And then the last thing was sort of state related, but certainly local in implication, is the delegation, the Horry County delegation writing. I always love these things. They introduce these bills, right? And they write these letters, and they all sign as a delegation on some hyper-local bill that nobody in that state house gives a hoot about, except for maybe one or two state representatives, right, that benefit from it. But this letter or this bill they've introduced basically to take the side of the county council, Horry County Council, in this fight over the hospitality tax, the H-tax money, right? The 1.5%. And so the city of Myrtle Beach wants to keep the money, the county wants to take the money, and they want to use it for the I-70. I mean, really, this is all based around Interstate 73.
It's based around
unnecessary
41
pet project. By the way, anybody listening statewide, Interstate 73, one of the most unnecessary pet projects in the history of the state of South Carolina, that will cost us billions to build. Billions to build and maintain. No doubt, billions with a B to maintain. That is not necessary. It will not reduce traffic to Myrtle Beach, and it will not make hurricane evacuations safer, which is the two arguments that all of these hack proponents, these lobbyists and the politicians all say it's going to make traffic easier, lighter, and it's going to make evacuation safer. No proof whatsoever that either of those are true. But David, these politicians, time and time again, they keep figuring out ways to undead this proposal, this pet project.
Yeah, but here's what I've been told. First of all, Bethune wants the money. The city of Myrtle Beach wants the money. There's $41 million out there with the 1.5. I think it's dead. But these 11 local delegates, a couple of which I don't know the names of, but because they're from Dillon or somewhere in the outer lying areas, they're not going to get this bill passed. I don't think they are. Do you?
No.
There's no way.
No.
People in Greenville won't vote for it, but they put it out there as basically an arm twister to kind of tilt the scale towards the county on this.
Yeah.
Now here's the deal. The city's made it clear they want this money, and Bethune's dug her heels in. She's standing up to the tourism lobby, which, by the way, she's hated by them now, despised. She says the law is not legal. Well, the statute, according to its sunset clause, isn't legal. Okay, I mean that's just reality. What the legislature saying, we're going to pass a new law saying it is legal. Well, that's easier said than done, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So their sentiment is, let's build I-73. But in reality, probably Bethune's in a stronger position on this than they are.
What is aggravates to me that the tax is illegal as it stands right now. It was supposed to sunset, it did not. They are still collecting that 1.5% here in Horry County all day, every day. And now the state guys want to come in and retroactively say, oh, what we've been doing is legal. These guys literally get to make up the rules as they go.
Well,
I mean, it's insanity.
that's true.
Not only that,
It is insanity.
There are needs in this county that aren't being addressed. Public safety being one of them. Certainly roads, for sure. Roads.
Well, we could widen 378, guys. That's an option right there. I mean, guys, we say we're going to widen it. We say we're widening it. Well, when are we going to widen it?
We've driven on some of these farm to market roads in Horry County that are disasters, quite frankly, dangerous.
Right.
So there's needs in this county, and I-73 ain't one of them. But they insist, and it's the behest of the Chamber of Commerce.
That she went to D.C. They're not giving us any money, guys, but she went up there and she used this ruse of evacuation. We had no problems evacuating last fall for Florence, guys.
Right.
Zero. Number two.
The problem was getting back in, if anything.
It floods, and that road would flood too.
And right, I-73 would have been underwater.
So, but here's the deal. Getting caught by a hurricane on the east coast of America is like getting hit by a county railroad car. You can get off the tracks. Yeah. We have 5 to 7 days notice usually that a hurricane's coming. This whole evacuation thing's a ruse. Getting back in is a problem. But hey, I-73 won't fix that.
Yeah.
It won't fix it at all.
Yeah.
Unless they spend $6 billion building it, we don't have 1.8 billion, much less 6 billion. We don't have it. I think this this proposal from the 11 delegates, it's just more arm twisting, more trying to create an illusion.
I agree with that, but also it goes back to, I think it was last week we were talking about why would Horry County and Mayor Bethune sign on for this Carolina Panther giveaway, right? Like, what benefit does it have for them? Well, it's you scratch my back, I scratch yours, right? We all went along with your economic incentive deal. Now we're going to ask to return the favor when it comes to our bill to try to retroactively
our pet project.
Exactly.
How many residents in Greenville County were wild about this Panther giveaway? How many really thought that was great?
I haven't met any.
How many residents?
Very few.
How many residents in Greenville County are going to support building I-73?
Not very many.
Not very.
So
many.
you guys in the state, and I know you watch here, you representatives, you delegates. Hey, know this: your residents aren't for the Panther giveaway, and they're not for I-73. They're not. Not up in Greenville, not up in Columbia. They don't want it.
And let's also be clear too. I mean, this was the entire Horry County delegation, if I'm not mistaken.
It was.
Okay, and that includes one, Mr. William Bailey, who, again, swept into office, swept out the old guy, Greg Duckworth, who was a total hack, right? And he comes in and votes pretty much the exact same way as Duckworth did. So Bailey, again, not really showing much signs of reform, being kind of a reformer or being somebody that's going to come in and shake up the system. He seems to be more along the lines of the system than anything else.
It seems to me like, looks like our light died, but it seems to me that a lot of our friends up here in Horry County worked really, really hard to get Bailey elected, and they got the exact same results this year. They would have gotten if Duckworth was still in office, and that's just unacceptable.
Thank you, whoever did that. Thank you.
But that's just unacceptable. I mean, when you have people who are willing to go work for you, you tell them you're going to be different, you tell them you're going to make a difference in Columbia, and you fall right in lockstep with leadership. That's unacceptable. You should be embarrassed for it.
No,
You do better.
Bailey voted for the budget.
Yep. Illegal state budget.
That spent $1 billion more than it did last year. He voted for that tax giveaway to the liberal billionaire owner of the Panthers.
Yep.
So, I mean, and now he's signing on to letters to build I-70.
Did he vote for the warehouse, too?
Yeah, he voted for the data warehouse. So, I mean, again, Seth, I think you're right that there were a lot of folks that we know worked very, very hard to get him elected because he was going to change and be different. And I don't know what that light's doing, but
it's telling us to
I think
shut up and
someone's
end
hitting
this.
hey man, we're a grassroots. This is grassroots, baby. So I think that to them, it's really, to me, it looks like a slap in the face because they worked very hard for somebody to come in there and shake things up and change Columbia, and Bailey ain't it.
Nope.
So far, at least.
No, it's not. But you can do better. We'll get a whole nother crack at it when the budget comes back from conference. Vote no.
Yeah.
And then next year, go in there and actually fight for gun rights, fight for the unborn, and stop big spending, unnecessary giveaways to billionaires. But I think this light's telling us it's time to.
I think we're losing our power here.
Thank you all very much. Stay tuned. Next week we'll be back with another Watercooler Wednesday. We will be at a surprise location, a yet to be determined surprise
Even
location.
by us.
That's right. But we'll be back here Wednesday at noon. Watercooler Wednesday on Facebook.com/FanofSC. And this light is driving me crazy.
10-second warning here.
But
and one more thing though, before we go, if you do want to send that message about the toll road plan that is still in the budget, is still up for debate, send the message to your House, your state senator, and the governor. Just text the word KILL, KILL, to the number 52886 on your smartphone. KILL to 52886, and send those emails as soon as you can. Get your friends to do it. This is a big debate. I do not want to pay on top of the gas tax I'm already paying, on top of the county fees I'm already paying for the roads. I don't want to be paying tolls on 995. So,
all right, y'all. Thank you. Have a great week, and I'll be back here next Wednesday at noon.
Thank you, guys.